Adrenaline, the fire I breathe is where I live. Incredible, an animal, one life to live. I never give up, I never give in. Some people wanna turn and run, but the strong rise under the gun. Top to the top, ain't never gonna stop. To the top, ain't never gonna stop. Never gonna keep me down. Still the one that's standing now. Yesterday is calling me, go down in history. Every day I fight to be legendary.
I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time now, but I was wondering which approach to take. Now I know that may seem odd considering that this video subject matter should be pretty easy to talk about, but the approach is always important. The approach I was originally going to take on how Darth Vader was such a great antagonist, how he's the greatest villain in film history, even though that's could be a debate within itself, and it's kind of bar none how great a villain he is. But after really thinking about it and about his story and rewatching the prequels and the original trilogy and reading some comic books, I've taken a bit of a different look at the story of Vader. The approach I'm taking here is not on how he's the greatest villain, but easily the best tragic villain of all time. See, in the end, the prequels really aren't about the rise of Darth Vader. It's about the fall and destruction of Anakin Skywalker. Remember in the original trilogy when Obi-Wan tells Luke this?
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father.
And then later in Return of the Jedi, when Luke is questioning Obi-Wan about his telling of Anakin's death, Obi-Wan explains it this way.
Your father seduced by the dark side of the Force. He ceased to be Anakin Skywalker and became Darth Vader. When that happened, the good man who was your father was destroyed. So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
So, in a way, if you take that line into context with the rest of the prequel trilogy, that's really what the story about Darth Vader is about. A good man who had a lot of love and passion and desire to help others, and was in the end destroyed by it. Because Anakin Skywalker, at heart, is supposed to be a good person. Now I know how the prequels, especially Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, painted him, but let me elaborate for a second. The Clone Wars TV miniseries and a lot of the comics have absolutely helped right those wrongs. Because they portray Anakin as, while he can be a little selfish and a little arrogant at times, he is still wanting to help others. He has concerns for his friends, he never abandons them, even someone just like, say, a clone trooper. He never leaves his men behind. He's always concerned for Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, he always wants to do what he can to help others, and his strategies always involve, while they can put people at risk, he always makes sure that he's never out of it. He always makes sure he's right in the middle of the fight. Anakin is meant to be a very good person. May not always make the right decision, but a good-natured person at heart. And the Clone Wars TV series and a lot of the comics and novels I've read portray that a lot better than the previous two films did. And even Revenge of the Sith fleshes that out a little bit, because it did have a few moments where Anakin genuinely showed care for Obi-Wan, or genuinely showed care for Padme. And in the end, that was his main ambition. His main ambition was to keep those he loved from dying, was to keep Padme from dying, to keep those safe. That's who he was. That was his main desire and his main ambition. Now, the Emperor did manipulate it to turn it against him, but that was his ultimate goal. That's who Anakin wanted to be. And he actually did it very, very well. Because he did have his moments of lashing out in anger or showing that dark side. He never did it from a place of he's just doing it for his own self-interests. Sometimes he did, but mostly it was out of his desire to help others, even if his heart wasn't always in the right place. So when Darth Vader causes the rise of the Empire and it's the downfall of the Jedi Order, and he slaughters so many younglings, and he causes the downfall of so many innocent people, and he oppresses them under Vader's fists that becomes the Imperial Army, it's the destruction of a good man. It's the last shred of that very good man of Anakin Skywalker gone. Yes, Vader is very intimidating and very dark and brooding, but he's also in pain. He lost everything dear to him. The love of his life, all his friends, everyone he's ever loved. He watched his life completely fall apart. He's one of those villains that felt like the dark side was the only way to right the wrongs. While eventually he did grow lustful for power, his original reason was he wanted to help others and prevent those he could from suffering a horrible fate. He just did it the wrong way, and he went about it the wrong way. Darth Vader is supposed to be the corrupted remains of a good man. Not a villain who's just dark, brooding, and intimidating for the sake of it. It's a man who's had every good in him twisted, taken away. And now he feels like there's nothing left except this cold hate inside of him. Remember the scene in Return of the Jedi when he's talking with Luke Skywalker?
The truth.
I've accepted the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father.
That name no longer has any meaning for me.
It is the name of your true self you've only forgotten. I know there is good in you.
Remember his duel with Luke Skywalker as Luke is desperately trying to pull his father back?
Your thoughts betray you, Father. I feel the good in you. The conflict.
There is no conflict.
You couldn't bring yourself to kill me before, and I don't believe you'll destroy me now.
And of course we have that final scene between him and Luke, showing that there was still some good in him. But for years it felt like there was nothing. It felt like there was nothing left except this cold, dark exterior filled with hate. And that's how Vader is meant to be portrayed. But the prequel series actually showed a lot of touching moments with Anakin. Moments where he would keep Ahsoka safe, or he'd lecture her in a very nice way, making sure she knew how important she was to him, or where he'd sacrifice his life for the sake of his men or the sake of others, where he'd save clones, even if they looked like nothing more than just ordinary troopers. He'd still go out of his way to save them. Or times where he would go out of his way to save another Jedi Master. Like, for example, the Clone Wars episode, Rising Malevolence? That might be what it's called. It's one of the Malevolence episodes, where he risks his ship and his life, and the life of Ahsoka, but to be fair, she was right along with him on this one, to go amongst the ruins of the fleet against a giant enemy battleship to save only the lives of a few clones and a Jedi Master. It showed how selfless and how fun he truly was. And it shows how good of a person he is deep down. So when you see this downfall and he's just becoming this dark, evil, corrupted, hate-filled man, it's not really cool. I mean, yes, Vader does look cool, like in that Rogue One scene or when he's intimidating Director Krennic, but in other scenes it's heartbreaking. Because you can see the pain and the rage, and you can feel it in his heart. It's this man who's just felt nothing but endless torture, and he's just trying to find a way to escape it. Vader is not meant to be a story of a villain. It's meant to be a tragic story about a hero who lost his path, lost everything good to him, but had one person show that love, care, and affection for him he'd been seeking his whole life. That's what makes his connection with Luke so endearing. It's that Luke was the one person who never truly gave up on him. Even though Obi-Wan did say that he loved Anakin and he was his brother, then toward the end, Obi-Wan, or at this point Ben Kenobi, admitted that he was more machine than man, twisted and evil. And Vader was just sort of this evil shell that could never come back. But Luke was the one man who said, I will never destroy Vader. I want to save him. that's who Luke was. And it brought out that good in Anakin. If someone finally showing actual love and affection for him brought out that good side that was still left in him. One of the most heartbreaking scenes in Revenge of the Sith, and if I'm being honest, probably the best scene in Revenge of the Sith, is the immolation scene where Obi-Wan sees Anakin laying down by the lava, and he lets out a very painful cry.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness! You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
He's not saying this because, oh, I'm just disappointed in my apprentice. I can't believe you failed all of us. His heart is broken because he'd believed so strongly in this person he had looked after since he was a child. This person he'd taken in even when he was hurt and in pain over the loss of his own master. He had believed so strongly in Anakin and felt there was a bond with him that was so deep that this duel that he was forced to have with Anakin was so painful and heartbreaking for him. Now, I wish they portrayed that more in the duel itself, but that's another discussion entirely. So in the end, what is the story of Darth Vader? Darth Vader is the story of a man undone by his own ambitions. A man who wanted nothing more than to help others, to show love and affection for those he cared about, and to prove that he could defend those he cared about and never abandon his friends. It ended up being his complete downfall. That's who Darth Vader is, a good man undone by ambition, but ultimately brought back and redeemed. The prophecy said that Anakin was supposed to be the one to bring balance to the Force. And I know Last Jedi and Force Awakens and all that, but Luke did mention in Last Jedi that there was balance, just to throw that out there. That for years there was balance. And I'm going to credit Heroes Fan Productions channel here for their Vader video, The Chosen One. I highly recommend you watch it. I'll put the link in the description below because their video is amazing, kind of chronicling the life of Darth Vader with some awesome, heartbreaking music, portraying this tragic story. And a lot of the clips I've used here are from their video. It's just so good, I can't help but use it. I'm going to end this video with a clip from them, showing why Darth Vader is truly the greatest tragic hero of all time. Or tragic villain of all time, sorry. He has so many depth and layers to him. And there's so much to his story. I'm going to end the video with this small clip from Hero Fan Productions. Because their video is perfect, I recommend you watch it, but this clip is one of my favorite clips of all time, and I wish more Star Wars fans knew about it.
Master, do you believe you are the Chosen One?
How can I know?
I can tell you what I believe. I believe you will bring balance to the Force, that you will face your demons and save the universe. Remember your training, Anakin. Trust your instincts. You will find another way.